In this video, I'm going to be walking you through exactly how we helped a custom metal manufacturing shop generate 45 deals in 5 months, equating to a pipeline value of over $1.4 million. And this was all done through cold email. They didn't have to rely on any conferences, trade shows, or referrals coming in from their network. And I'm going to be walking you through step by step on how we set up the email infrastructure, how we source the list and the data for the decision makers that they want to contact that were a fit for their ICP, and how we thought about the messaging and how we delivered campaigns to actually source these deals. Starting off with the email infrastructure. So you're probably relying a lot on sending emails through your main company domain. You probably have a bunch of employees on it, and you're probably tracking your open rates and reply rates or hovering about, probably seeing anywhere from like 20 to 40% open rates, 0 to 1% reply rates, which is about, I'd say, just below par. And the reason for that is to do cold email outreach at scale, you need to set up separate inboxes with domains. So you need to set up like alias domains with company names similar to your main domain, and then make those forward to your main website. And then you set up email accounts on top of those that could be an employee or anyone that you'd want to represent your company on your behalf when you're doing outreach. And the reason you want to do this is if you send too many emails from your cold emails from your main domain, you're going to get flagged as spam, and then it hurts your reputation, and you don't want to hurt your main domain that's connected to your website in any way for sending out agreements, contracts, customer conversations. So you want to have a separate infrastructure when you're doing cold outreach. And the tech stack that we used for this was Scaled Mail. Scaled Mail allows us to build out an email infrastructure consisting of Google and Outlook inboxes. And you can upload those into like a sequencer, like Outreach, SalesLoft, Instantly, Smart Lead. Specifically for this customer, we used Instantly.ai. And before you do any sort of sending, what you need to do is, after you filled out the form on Scaled Mail and reached out with mentioning the employee you want with the company names and email accounts, and telling them what sequencer you want the email accounts to be uploaded into, what you need to do is essentially warm up those email accounts for 2 weeks. In that period, they send emails between each other before you do any cold outreach, and that prepares it for the inboxes that you want to reach. And you're 80% more likely to end up in the primary inbox if you warm them up for 2 weeks, rather than if you were sending from your main domain, or if you just set up inboxes and don't do the warm up period. And then after the warm up period, you'd gradually ramp up sending volume. Like for a Google account, it'd be like 5 emails per day, and then you'd ramp up 1 per sending up to like 15, what we recommend. So you'd purchase 20 domains, you set up 40 Google accounts, and that would give you sending volume about 500 emails per day that you can send, as we did for this customer. And the way we source the data, you've probably used Apollo, ZoomInfo. You've probably seen Clay popping about quite a bit. And I wouldn't say there's one specific one size fits all. But what you can do with Clay is essentially build a lead scoring system. So for this client, what we did was we scraped every procurement leader in aerospace, automotive, industrial equipment manufacturers, and OEMs that had over 5 million plus in recurring revenue every year, and that had an engineering department. And the way we did this was, if you were to just do this with Apollo or ZoomInfo, you wouldn't be able to go that granular in your targeting. So the way we did this in Clay was we verified whether or not they had the revenue mark, whether or not they had an active engineering team, whether or not they had a procurement department, and then we were able to source the right decision maker, find the right email within Clay, and verify the emails and phone numbers that we might need. And we were able to find around 5,600 best fit prospects that exactly fit the target market the customer was going for, because they had a specific case study that we had leveraged for these industries that they want to go after. So having your ICP, ideal customer profile, dialed in helps with your targeting as well, and in turn your results. But Clay was a big part of us sourcing the lists and the decision makers that we wanted to reach for these campaigns. And when we're thinking about the messaging, you're probably, when you think about sales emails, you probably think about a long-winded email telling everyone about your specifications, what your product does, the features. But from millions of emails that we've sent across 25 different B2B industries, there's 3 fundamentals that you need to rely on when you're sending out cold emails. So these apply to cold emails. I wouldn't say it applies to if someone gives you a warm intro, a lead that you met at a conference, or someone that you had a past connection with. When you're going cold, The reality is attention spans are at an all-time low, and you want to write the email at fifth grade reading level. You want to have a no-brainer offer, and you just want to provide as much value as you can in the email for them to respond based on quantifiable metrics, benefits tied to saving time, making more money, or cutting costs. And this was how we were successful with this campaign, is we tested a bunch of variants on lead times, on quality inconsistencies with custom metal parts, on cost, and the biggest value prop that was generating the most amount of traction out of all the different angles that we tried for these suppliers, it was cost savings. So we had the customer that we worked with had a really good case study on how many costs they were able to save for the specific customer on the metal parts that they sourced for them based on their specifications and their order sheet. And based on that, we mapped out segments that had similar orders that they might be able to make based on the specifications and based on the parts that they had available. And based on that, we crafted an email saying something along the lines of like, hey, first name, we recently helped another company similar to yours in the industry, like the automotive industry. We were able to help them cut their costs by 50% with their custom metal part sourcing. Would you be interested in learning how we could do something similar for you, or asking if you'd be interested in getting an RFQ from us? And this was the exact copy that we used, sort of framing. We iterated a little bit more on like call to action, signature, but all you want to do is 50 words or less, super valuable, make it a no-brainer for them to respond, and have quantifiable metrics and case studies that you can just add in the email for credibility. These are cold leads. And we were able to get 9.5% reply rates just because how targeted the campaign was and how specific it was in terms of what we're offering to the end customer and the way we source the list as well. The list is going to build out the message. Usually on average, industry average around cold outreach is anywhere from, I'd say, 0.5 to 2% reply rates. And we're well above that just because of the way we sourced the list and we thought about the messaging and how the customer wanted to reach their ideal customer profile. So if you're ready to build more pipeline, want to test cold email campaigns for your B2B service, we're partnering with companies that are doing over 500K in annual recurring revenue to test cold email as a scalable growth channel. So if you've tested paid ads, maybe you're doing some cold calling or relying on networking events, trade shows, conferences, referrals to generate a ton of interested leads for you guys, we'll build out cold email as a channel for you and help you validate and test it for free. So if we'll run campaigns for you for a couple of weeks using our pre-warmed email accounts and domains. We just need to get on a strategy call with you. And if you want to learn how we'd be able to do that for you, just find the link below. You can book a meeting with us and we'll walk through and build out an exact plan for you based on your ideal customer profile, on how we'd scrape the data, how we'd think about the messaging, and how we'd think about the technical setup, and all for free. So if you want to join us, feel free to schedule a meeting with us. And yeah, looking forward to working together with anyone that is interested. Thank you.